No more talking.
The rules are not subject to negotiation.
Shut up!
Define the rules, and there will be consequences.
Let's go. Come on. Let's go.
Examples will be made.
On your knees. Keep still.
A former JTF unit turned paramilitary warlords. The True Sons are trained, disciplined, and hell-bent on using their combat expertise and overwhelming firepower to eliminate all enemies and rivals in their pursuit of domination over Washington, D.C. In their view, America was founded through bloodshed, and through bloodshed, a new society will rise. After the events of Black Friday, the dollar flu quickly found its way into Washington, D.C. Amongst the chaos and panic, the JTF attempted to control the spread of the virus by setting up a quarantine on Roosevelt Island. Colonel Anton Ridgeway was given the responsibility to administer the quarantine and ensure that everything ran smoothly. He was there to make sure that people were getting food and water and the medical help they needed. However, over time, Ridgeway grew tired of witnessing the growing levels of tragedy and despair from the front lines. He started losing faith in the government and the JTF's ability to save Washington, D.C. After coming to the conclusion that there was no way that anyone would survive if they were to continue with their current way of doing things, Ridgeway decided that it was up to him to make the hard calls and ensure the well-being of his men. Antoine Ridgeway studied the Reserve Officers Training Corps, a tertiary education-based program for training officers of the United States Armed Forces. Following on from this, he joined the Maryland National Guard, eventually achieving the rank of colonel. Ridgeway also had a lucrative career as a salesperson, and often uses the skills he gained through this time to enhance his leadership style. Ridgeway is ambitious and has a strong desire to lead. He will always dominate the conversation and expresses his concerns if he disagrees with people. When placed under intense pressure, he is in his element. He has no problems dealing with the stress and can easily make quick decisions. During his time with the JTF, Ridgeway was dutiful and possessed competent leadership and planning skills as he achieved the rank of colonel, and was tasked with administrating the quarantine on Roosevelt Island. He can tolerate those who question his priorities, as he can easily persuade them into agreeing with them. However, Ridgeway will not tolerate insubordination, and worse, desertion. He will personally execute those who try.
Strength and loyalty. Not just empty words, but the virtues I expect you to live by every day. The foundation upon which the true sun stands. We are at war. Our enemies are the hordes of degenerates who will see this city burn, and the failed remnants of a corrupt government. The same impotent government which lost our fine country to sickness and ruin. We will destroy them all. But we can only win this war if we stay true to the cause, and to each other. Loyalty is the glue that holds us together. Without it, our foundation will rot, crumble, and fall. So when I encountered disloyalty, where I find such rot, I must cut it out before it spreads.
Please, don't do this!
Now these soldiers swore the same oath as you did. They swore to be loyal to the cause. To me. They proved to be neither. Instead, they abandoned their posts and tried to sneak away in the night. They are oath breakers. They are deserters. We are at war. And in war, the punishment for desertion is death.
No, please, we were going to come back. We were going to...
As a strong believer in the need for authority and discipline, Ridgeway decided to take matters into his own hands on Roosevelt Island. In frustration and fear for the city's future, he deployed guards around the quarantine with the order to not let anyone out. He started to redirect resources coming into the quarantine, letting people starve to death and withholding medicine.
Hold still. There you go. Better already.
What's his prognosis?
Colonel Ridgeway, not good, sir. He took a bullet. We've tried penicillin, but his wound has festered. I thought morphine might ease his pain.
How's our supply cache?
Truthfully, sir, we're running low. And not just in supplies, but manpower, too. We've got civilians piling up outside the doors. Under these conditions, it's difficult to separate the infected from the healthy. The doctor's expecting a new shipment this afternoon, but it almost certainly won't be enough for everybody.
Pack all this up and move it out to the barracks.
But sir, we can't just...
Are you questioning my orders, trooper? Well,
No, sir. Right away, sir. What about the patient?
Put him back where you found him. He's a dead man anyway.
In his eyes, the sick and weak were already dead, so his number one priority came to secure the future of his own men. Ridgeway's actions were tainted by his willingness to do whatever it took for the well-being of his soldiers and his repulsion of the sick. Due to the chaotic state of the city, he was able to abuse his authority for a long time before the commander of the JTF found out and he was imprisoned.
This court determines that you, Colonel Antoine Ridgeway, have been found guilty of violating the Uniform Code of Military Justice for the crimes of unlawful detention, failure to obey an order or regulation, and murder. You will therefore be stripped of all ranks and titles pertaining to your service in the armed forces and detained until further notice. Mr. Ridgeway, would you like to make a final statement? Very well.
However, it did not take long until loyal members of his unit freed him. In Ridgeway's eyes, he'd done nothing wrong. According to him, he was the only one with a realistic and viable solution to the situation. Therefore, the betrayal from his fellow officers filled him with rage and hate towards the JTF and the federal government. As soon as he got out, he gathered his men from his former unit and the stockade where he was held prisoner. Together they captured the JTF officers that had him imprisoned and had them executed. According to the True Sons, survival of the fittest is the only way to survive Washington, D.C. Due to their access to weapons, equipment, and expertise, the True Sons are now the top dogs in Washington, D.C. This newfound power has made them into vicious and arrogant bullies. Intimidation, cruelty, and violence have become the key factors in the True Sons' paramilitary dictatorship. The True Sons do not think twice about making examples out of people to ensure obedience. Either you join them or die. Whoever and whatever stands in between the True Sons and General Ridgeway's position as absolute rulers of Washington, D.C. will be eliminated. Ridgeway seems to have established a cult personality within the faction, as he has self-promoted himself to general and has the fierce loyalty of those under his command. He also views himself and the True Sons as the only hope of restoring order in D.C.
Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir. Welcome.
What a lovely place you have here. Even through all these troubles, you still manage to keep it quaint. I like that.
Thank you, sir.
You know, a home says a lot about a person's character. You know what your home tells me about you?
No, sir.
It says you're assiduous and orderly. Perhaps a little too much. But you're certainly responsible. Must be nice to live in peace and quiet. Unfortunately for us, there's a price for defending communities such as this. But at least you are keeping out of harm's way.
General,
Before we came here, we ran into a neighbor of yours. He didn't seem to appreciate the good work we do around here. And I couldn't accept that, not after all my men have been through. But I don't think we're gonna have the same problem. Like I said, a house tells you a lot about a person. I can see that you're compassionate, generous.
Please, just take what you want.
That really is mighty kind, Mr. Williams. People like you are making a real difference. It's inspiring. We'll be back in a week. I trust you'll have more for us then.
The True Sons demand tribute from other settlements. Ridgeway and his men believe it's mutually beneficial, as the settlements get protection. In exchange, the True Sons get supplies, despite some of the settlements wanting nothing to do with the faction or believing the demands are too harsh. Consequently, Ridgeway considers those who offer tribute, willing or by force, to be considered by default part of the True Sons, and thus, as a citizen, he expects them to obey.
General, there's a woman here. Says she's a representative of the theater settlement. Wants to speak with you.
What about?
She wants to negotiate.
Negotiate? Why would we want to negotiate with those people?
Stand by, sir. I'll ask her. Sir, she thinks a truce could be mutually beneficial.
Shoot her, Lieutenant.
Sir?
Shoot her and dump her body where those cowards will find it. And if anybody else comes to negotiate, shoot them too. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Being comprised of former JTF members and possessing military-grade technology, training, and discipline, the True Sons are seen by the other factions as being the most dominant faction within DC, and thus the biggest threat. The Outcasts despise them for the quarantine and treatment of people on the island. The Hyenas have joined up with the Outcasts because of their war against the True Sons. An echo shows that the Hyenas and Outcasts are willing to cooperate with each other to take out a squad of True Sons guarding a building.
I don't know how much longer I can hold them back! We can't let them take control of the building! lines.
Burn them! Move your ass! We can't let the outcasts take the building!
I gotta! Go! Go! Go!
I'm gonna hang back and let these morons annihilate each other. Then I'll clean up the leftovers.
The True Sons are actively at war with the Hyenas and appear to be on the offensive against them. The True Sons are hostile but not actively at war with the Outcasts. An audio recording revealed that when the Outcasts overthrew and took over the Roosevelt Island quarantine center, the JTF, before they became the True Sons, decided to monitor them rather than send in more men and neutralize them. Early on, several True Sons left the group feeling that Ridgeway's intentions were far too brutal. They went on to set up their own community where they could assist refugees, providing food and shelter, what they believed they should have been doing all along. This settlement, the castle, was one of the most active in the city, but due to failure to meet True Sons' demands, Ridgeway eventually ordered the bombing of the community.
We had an agreement. You go your way and we go ours. It ain't that easy. You don't get to just walk away. Is that you talking or the Colonel? It's General Ridgeway now. Look, you guys can go do your thing and we won't lift a finger to stop you. But we're done being part of it. We're going to stay right here in this castle and make our own way, and you'd best be okay with that. I'm not sure the General will be. Well, he knows where to find us. The castle is Sergeant Snow's territory, General Ridgeway.
Mike Snow, Captain Wilson. He's a deserter. We don't address traitors by rank.
Sorry, sir. Word has it he's operating an open-door policy.
He was always weak.
They've got refugees crowding in by the hour. The worst this city has to offer. Nothing but degenerates and backstabbers.
And what good are they? That place will become a breeding ground for the virus. We must tackle the problem at the source. It's time to start cleaning up this city. Let's see how this DC-62 of yours holds up.
In-game, our first introduction to the True Sons is where they had dug in and secured a strategic hold on the Viewpoint Museum. But once the division rolled in, they were quickly cleared out.
We've underestimated the division for far too long.
They've hit us hard, sir. But we've still got the numbers.
Numbers don't guarantee victory. We need to change our strategy.
We could buoy up our defenses. The hyenas and outcasts won't last long with the division around. If we had less to contend with, perhaps...
It's out of the question. We are not scavengers, we are True Sons. We will not hold up in the garrison like a bunch of cowards. We must launch an offensive while we have the chance.
I advise caution, General Ridgeway. We could lose a lot of good soldiers.
This is a war, Sergeant. We either lose soldiers or we lose control.
Following this, after suffering a number of defeats at the American History Museum, Air and Space Museum, Space Administration HQ, Jefferson Plaza, and the Lincoln Memorial, they retreated back to their final stronghold in the Capitol building. Division agents, with the help of the JTF and civilian militia, assaulted this facility. After sweeping through the complex, the True Sons' general and leader, Antoine Ridgeway, made his final appearance to try and stop the division once and for all. With the death of Ridgeway and the remaining True Sons garrison at the Capitol building, the True Sons have since been scattered across DC, attempting to finish the job against the division and now the new invading enemy, the Black Tusk. The True Sons are now at war with every faction and are vying for control of positions within DC. Although now leaderless, I don't think we've heard the last of the True Sons. Ridgeway had a number of loyal officers under his command, and it's only a matter of time before we see one of them take the reins. The introduction of the technologically advanced Black Tusk has likely had them sit back a bit and reassess the situation, but when the time is right, we'll be seeing them make another strike back at the city soon. The True Sons had come about through desperation in a time where society had all but completely fallen apart. However, it was from their actions alone, early on in the conflict, that other hostile factions came to be, like the fanatical, cult-like group known as the Outcasts, who see the True Sons as the ones primarily responsible for the quarantine on Roosevelt Island and the barbaric treatment of the people who were imprisoned there. This is as far as I've managed to get with my research on the True Sons. As I said, I don't think this is the last we'll hear of them. With coming updates and extensions of the storyline, I can almost guarantee that I'll be talking about this group further in a future video. Anyway, I'll leave this one here. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers!
Safety off.
Make sure the medical items gets into the clinic, and the food goes to the storage by the mess halls.
Put those crates back on the truck.
Wait, what?
We're not wasting any more supplies on these people. Put them back, Private.
Sir.
What the hell are you doing, Colonel?
They are already dead, Doctor.
Are you insane? They need care. What about the staff?
Collateral damage. Now, take your hand off my soldier.
If you go ahead with this, I will report your What the
Bar the gate, Sergeant. Looks like you got a riot brewing.
Lock and load!
Put it down.